Hi everybody, thanks for joining. Today in this video we're going to have a Millennial sprint planning. And today with me I have my different hats. Got my Scrum Master hat, my Joe Dev hat, my Mr. PO hat, and my Joe Tester hat. And Joe Tester forgot his hat in the video, so he's going to be hatless. And this is one of my first times editing like this, so forgive me for the editing quality. It's kind of bad, but hopefully you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for the end because after the Millennial sprint planning, we'll have a sprint planning in real life with market comment. Thanks. Here we go.
Alright, hi, I'm the Scrum Master. Thank you all for joining our sprint planning today. I really have a good feeling, and I think that we're going to do really great this sprint. So we'll kick things off here with handing it off to the product owner. Mr. PO, how about you help us with the stories that you're planning on targeting for completion this sprint?
Alright, sure. So I have these 8 user stories, and I've assigned all of them to be done for this sprint.
You can't do that. You can't just assign the stories to the team. The team, they talk about the
but I'm the product
owner.
them,
and
there are no rules
commit
matched.
together
I get to make
what they
rules.
think they can complete. So how about we?
Yo, what you doing?
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm checking out this cool new YouTube series called Programming IRL. Yeah, I'm hoping you can help me learn some programming so that way I can do some of these tasks this sprint.
All right, team. Let's calm down and let's get through this. I really believe that we can make this sprint really successful, and the sooner we get through the sprint planning, then we can go and get some ice cream. And then afterwards, somebody said that there was VR lightsaber as well that we could play.
Defeated the bubble.
So let's try this one more time, Mr. PO. How about you just talk about the story and we can see if the team can commit to that.
Alright, okay. This first one, it's user story number 1, and this is where we need to configure the Jira workflows and have all that set up so that way we can track the right stories, the statuses, and make sure that everybody is following that process.
Aren't you the Jira admin?
Yes, but I really don't feel like it right now, and it would help me a lot if that's something that you could take on. And I estimated at 1 story point because it's not a lot of work and you should be able to handle it. You can't do that, Mr. PO. The team is the one that decides the estimation of the user stories. They estimate the story points and decide to commit that. So how about let's let the development team look at the next one and decide if that's something that they can commit to, because it is organized by priority, right?
Priority. Oh, right. Yes, I was supposed to do that. Yes, I did that. This is priority order.
Good. Joe Dev?
Okay. Determine architecture. That seems like a really complicated story. I think that's gonna take up the rest of the sprint with the configure Jira stuff.
What? Calm down.
Only 2 issues? This is unacceptable.
Why do you calm down? Calm down. We can talk through this. So, Joe Dev, why do you think that it's going to take the entire sprint to work through that architecture part? Can you explain what's involved and maybe see if we could break that up to complete part of the work this sprint and then part of the next sprint?
You know what? After thinking about it, I think that maybe we can take 1 more, or maybe a second one. But I'm getting tired of the sitting. I've been sitting way too long. I think we need to reschedule this meeting with some standing desk.
Alright, let's kick off our Sprint 0 planning for market comment. So I'm here with our Jira board, and we have the product backlog that has a list of issues that are ordered by priority. So the first issue here is the configure Jira workflows. These are actually the ones that are in the blue check mark are task, and the ones that look like a green bookmark are user stories. And so these tasks have a definition of done rather than acceptance criteria. And the configure Jira workflows is to right now in Jira I can only have the to do, in progress, and done status, but I want to separate in progress to distinguish between in development and in test. And this is important to show that progress is happening, and I can capture where things are at between whether they're in development, whether they're in the test, and just help track that workflow a lot better of issues. So that's pretty simple to do. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the sprint. And you can see that it's added to my sprint 0. But this is going to be sprint 0 because right now we don't have much to be able to start with development. We don't have our environment set up. We don't have CI/CD pipeline set up. And so right now we're just starting with sprint 0 to be able to get everything set up that we needed to be able to start development. And the key thing is the starting piece. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be able to do everything that we needed to do. We just want to be at a good starting place so that we can be successful and iterate and improve on top of that. So the next issue is going to be determine architecture. So this this task is to be able to have an architecture diagram created. And we want to, again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to contain all the things that we're going to have in the solution, but be a good starting point that we can understand what we're going to be building at a high level, and then continue to iterate off of and improve off of that through each sprint. And so this is going to be a living document, not something that we spend a lot of time on up front to have that everything and be exhaustive, but just enough to be able to have a good idea starting up. So again, I think that this is going to be pretty good. So we'll go ahead and add this to the sprint. Set up development environment. And so part of this kind of really depends on the architecture, and so there's a little bit of dependency, but I already know kind of what architecture I'm going to be working with at a high level. We're going to be using Python with Django, and so Django is really simple to get started and get going quickly, and so this is going to be a super easy task. So I'm going to go ahead and add it. You notice that here in Jira, these tasks don't have this little estimation section, and so tasks, we won't really track things with them. We'll see. Outside of Sprint 0, it doesn't look like we have many tasks, and so we shouldn't need to know what track estimation for our tasks. So let's look at establish testing process and set up testing environment if needed. So this is going to be deciding what tools that we're going to be using for unit test, end-to-end test, visual regression testing, and so forth. So I have some idea. I've been doing some little bit of research and thinking about this, but we're going to finalize those decisions and actually decide what we're going to be using going forward. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to the sprint. I think this shouldn't take too long to finalize and get set up. I know Django already has testing infrastructure with it that extends off of PyUnit, formerly known as PyTest. Formerly known as PyUnit. And now it's just called the unit test framework, the unit test module. And so I think that that'll be pretty easy to get going with. So next up we have the setup staging environment. And so this is where we want to, it'll eventually become our production environment, but while we're developing the MVP, we're going to continuously deploy to this environment as we get features into our master branch. And this is going to be hosted in AWS, so I don't think this is going to be too much, so we'll go ahead and add it. Right now, I'm planning for our sprints to be 1 week long, and we'll see if we're able to complete this all in 1 week to see if that gives us a good amount of time. And in most cases, in development teams, sprints are 2 weeks long, but I think that with how I'm trying to cycle through capturing this process, I want to kind of capture it at a week, and we'll see if that works or not. One thing that is good to know about this is that I've been on teams that they have worked with their sprint length and have adjusted that, and as it came out through one of the retros that the sprints were too long or that they were too short, and that they wanted to extend or extend them or shorten them to be able to help track the process better. So it's not something that once you start that it's at 2 weeks that it always has to be that, or that it's at 1 week it always has to be that. It's definitely something that the team can decide to change, because that is another key component of Scrum, that it's flexible to change. So the next issue in the backlog is define branching strategy. So this is there's different branching strategies in Get. There's the centralized, where you just use a master branch. There's the feature branch where we can, as we make a new feature, we're going to have a new branch. There's forking, and we'll talk more in depth about these different strategies and which one we're going to be using. But this task is to determine that and to go ahead and set up the Git repository. So that's going to be super simple. So we're going to add that and then set up CI/CD pipeline. So this is something that where we want to be able to take our features, and once we commit our code to Git, it'll automatically run our tests. It'll automatically, so this is our unit tests, our end-to-end test, our visual regression testing, and then if it's on a master branch, automatically deploy it to staging. And so there's two popular ones that I'm familiar with that I've worked in my career. The first one being Jenkins, and that's the industry standard. It's open source, and it's really popular. And where I, as a developer, don't really like it is that it's I would say that it takes a lot of kind of effort to get set up. It's definitely one of those things that a DevOps engineer loves and adores, but in terms of ease of effort, I much prefer Circle CI. Another one is Travis CI as well. So Circle CI I really liked. It was super easy to get going and started with. So that's what we're going to be using within this project. So this task is setting that up and having it to deploy everything to that staging environment on successful passing of all of our tests from the master branch. So this one is, I feel like it's going to take some effort, definitely probably some more effort than these other ones. In fact, I think it's going to be the largest task within this sprint. But I still think that everything before here is probably like a day or two at most. And so like on a Friday evening, Saturday kind of thing. This setup pipeline, I feel like is going to take a day plus. And then we have next is the database design. I think this also is going to be a little bit some effort as well. So this database design is taking the requirements that we have. We're going to look at the kind of maybe the top next 10, 15 requirements. I won't go through maybe all of them super in depth, but just get a good starting point for our database design and sort of start out with some tables that we need, some fields. Again, this is going to be flexible to change. We just want really what we need for the next couple of sprints. And then because after you get past this couple of sprints, things are really open to change future down. And so we're not trying to lock ourselves down to have the exact end database diagram. This is going to be really our starting points to, again, be able to be effective from day one of sprint one. So I'm going to add that to the backlog too. So I think that this is really going to be it for sprint 0. It gets us everything that we need to get started with this first user story for sprint 1. And I think that this is a workload that is reasonable to commit to. And so I look forward to working with this with you guys and sharing with you the process. So catch us next time on Programming IRL as we start working with configuring Jira workflows. Thanks.